Warm welcome to all of you, dear friends. Uh, this is the live Afnai Kura Afnai Paribesh from Nepalese Himalayan Association, Scotland. And today, it's a wonderful opportunity for me to invite Ian Bent. Ian is from the Highlands, but he's done a lot for Nepal. He's raised more than 30,000 pounds for one of the projects in Kabre, Bimre village. And he was instrumental in setting out a 1.6 kilometer pipeline. And that allowed the villagers to stop carrying water all the way to their homes. So welcome, Ian.
Thank
Thank you very much. So how are you feeling today, Ian?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all right. Not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Not too bad.
And can you tell me something about yourself?
Well, I grew up in the Highlands, as you say. Small village, not quite as small as Bimri, but sort of rural upbringing. From a young age, we had a lot of, there was always backpackers coming through our house. My mum rented out rooms to tourists, so I think that had a bit of an influence on the sort of traveling life later on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a happy enough childhood growing up in the Highlands, mustn't grumble. And I came to this fair city of Aberdeen.
Mm-hmm. So where did you do your college, university?
I did a little bit of it. Aberdeen University. I was here long enough to pick up a student loan check, and then I started traveling with said student loan check. So that, yeah, I was here for about 6 weeks, to be honest with you. So I wouldn't say I'm alumni.
Can you tell me something about your visit to India and Nepal?
Yeah, I mean, there was many visits. I was 20 times in India, and I think about 10 times in Nepal now. So in the beginning, it was just for travel. And then before I came over to India the first time, or went over to India the first time, I was working in a call center in Aberdeen with some Indians, and I got them to teach me a bit of Hindi. So when I first arrived in India, I was sort of speaking Hindi to taxi drivers. And on the first day, I remember a guy telling me, "Oh, my son, this is the best Hindi I've ever heard from a white person." And I was like, "All right, okay." So then I kept going back sort of time and time again. And then I started taking tours of people over to India, which is where TBF kind of began. Started off as a travel company, and then sort of transformed into what it's become today.
So when did you first come in connection with a Nepali fellow? Or
so that was the first time I met the guys from Beamery was would have been 2008. Prim's Namaste Cafe. Prim's pretty much my best friend in Nepal. Hell of a guy, and a lot of the boys from Beamery, because obviously there's no, as you know, there's no work in rural Nepal. So a lot of Nepalis going down to India and other places for work. So I met the guys then and just very quickly became very good friends with them.
Okay. Just for the viewers, this program is sponsored by Namaste Simla Palace. It's a Nepalese Indian restaurant based in Cowdenbeath 5. And most of the sponsorship goes to our charity, directly into the charity's account, and it'll be used for a good cause. If you have any questions for Ian, we'll try to pass the questions to Ian at the end of the program, if you have time. So please feel free to write it down in the Nepalese Himalayan Association's Facebook page. So as you said that you are instrumental in bringing the drinking water project in Nepal. So how did that first occurrence happen? You know, how did you come up with the idea that you have to do something?
Well, so when I was in my early 20s, I read a book called 3 Cups of Tea. And without giving away too much of the book, it was about an American climber who was climbing K2. I think he broke his leg, or he had some sort of mishap. And he was helped down off the mountain by a Sherpa, and then taken to, I think he got pneumonia or something like this. And he was taken to this village, and they basically just nursed him back to health. He spent many months there, And when he left, he asked them, what do you need? How can I ever repay you, kind of thing? And they said, well, the village needs a school. So he went back to America, he fundraised, and then he came back later on and he built a school. So that was in my early 20s. And I kind of thought, well, if some American guy can do that, then I can probably do that too. So from early on, I was sort of thinking about doing something. But then the day that we started the project, or like the vision was born, kind of thing. Do you remember the Ice Bucket Challenge?
Mm-hmm.
So a friend of mine back home tagged me in this Ice Bucket Challenge whilst I was in Nepal talking to my friends in the village about kind of the water problem over there. So I was like, well, I'm obviously not going to go and pour fresh water over my head for charity.
Mm-hmm.
And I just put a big rant on Facebook about if people want to do something for charity, give me 20 quid.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a whip round, basically. It was just a large scale whip round.
So that book became the main
it definitely was
instigator.
Inspiration. It was inspiration, yeah.
Well, what did you say? 3 cups of tea?
3 cups of tea.
Can you remember the author?
It's either his first name was Martin, I believe it was Martinson, or something like that. I'd say give it a read. But he went on to build, it was either hundreds or thousands of schools, and then he moved on to doing water projects as well later on. But yeah, so that was a kind of early inspiration, definitely.
And how did that get connected? With Bimri village? What do you think that? Okay, you must. Did you go right away to Nepal? Or
yeah, well, so after I'd already spent I spent most of my 20s either in Aberdeen working, saving up to go traveling, or traveling. So I'd be sometimes spent months at a time with the guys from Bimri, just kind of practicing my Hindi and stuff. And they were teaching me Hindi while I was there. And so that just kind of naturally progressed on to, I need to see the village sometime. So when I first went up there, my friend Prim was still in India. So he arranged for a cousin of his to meet me. And I remember walking into the village for the first time. I think I had a broken leg at that point. I kept breaking my leg when I was in India. It was like a recurring theme. So I was hobbling into this village on crutches, and his son came out to meet me. And I wanted to, Prim's mother was still alive at this point, and I knew that she didn't speak Hindi, English, or even Nepali. She only spoke Tamang. So I remember saying to Prim's son, right, you need to teach me some Tamang. I want to know how to say, I want to say how to say nice to meet you, which is now I know is Rangda Rupta Sitanji. But
could you repeat that, please?
Rangda Rupta Sitanji.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So I get to the village and I'm practicing in my head, repeating it. And before this, the only Tamang that I ever knew how to say was Iraq Tungji. So you know what Iraq is, yeah?
No.
What? Where are you from, man? Where are you from?
Yeah.
You're not from village though, are you?
Yeah, no, Nepal has a lot of dialects,
So Roxy,
I'm interested.
You know Roxy, the rice wine?
Yeah, okay.
So all I knew how to say was Iraq Tungji, which is basically like, shall we get drunk?
Oh, okay.
So there's this like 90-year-old woman that I'm trying to say nice to meet you to. And as soon as I get to there's like, there must have been 20, 30 people waiting to like welcome me to the village. And I get there and all I can say is, Iraq Tungji. And then out comes the rice wine, and next thing I know, I'm passing out where the goats are sleeping. That was a fun introduction to Bimri. But yeah, as soon as I woke up the next morning, and because I'd arrived at nighttime, so I didn't really get to see the village. I woke up the next morning, looked out the window, and I was like, oh my God, this place is beautiful. And then I just knew I would be coming back again.
So what was the particular activity that say that, okay, I think this village needs drinking water facility or something like that. So what prompted you that particular?
One of the days, my friend BJ's wife was walking past us, and she was carrying the dookie with, she must have had 30 kilos of water in this thing. And I said, oh, give me a shot of that. I'll carry this. And, Shanti, she's about half my size, probably half my weight. And she's carrying this extremely heavy load of water. And she was worrying that I wasn't going to be able, I was going to drop it and spill her water. She's like, oh, no, you can't do it. You're a weak white man. But yeah, so I carried this thing for about half an hour and I was dying. And I was like, no, this isn't right. It's 2021, people shouldn't have to be carrying water to their village. So I kind of thought, well, we need to do something about that. So we sort of set out on this plan. It was initially going to be a well, and obviously a well is going to eventually dry up. So when we started doing the fundraising, very quickly there was thousands of pounds flying in the first few weeks, and then some of the lads were like, maybe we should do something bigger, and then we started going towards the pipeline.
Okay. So as you said that you've raised more than 30,000 pounds for Nepal, how has that changed your life? You know, basically like that type of charity, that level of charity work, and it's still in the pipeline, you're still doing more. I mean, how has that changed your life personally?
I mean, it's given me something to do for a start. And I strongly believe in karma. And I think, you know, what you put into life, you'll kind of get back. And I think I think it's definitely helped in some ways, because I tend to find that I have quite a lot of luck in life, and so hopefully that's karma doing its magic. But I mean, as I say, it's definitely kept me busy.
Is there any interesting incident or any interesting turning point that you can remember, or a funny moment in Nepal or India, you know, like on your travel, that you'd love to share?
So there was one of the times I was in India, we went over there for a friend of mine's birthday. I think he was turning 30, and a bunch of our mates, we all chipped in sort of 20, 30 pounds, and we bought him flights to India. And on that, so me and him and another friend of ours went over there, and we kind of met up with a few other guys from Stonehaven and Aberdeen, and then we kind of amassed a group of about, must have been 15, 20 of us. And we were climbing up a mountain that I'd been up before, and there's like a cave up there that we slept in. And so on the way up there, I sort of kind of thought, well, I'm kind of tour guiding here, because I was sort of arranging everything for everyone. And because obviously if you speak Hindi in India, things are a lot easier and they get a lot cheaper. So I kind of thought at that point, that was definitely a turning point. I thought I could do this I could set up a business. I could kind of bring people over here and build a tour around this, kind of visiting this cave, and set up Wonky Travels, as it was called. And so that was definitely a turning point. There was another, I wouldn't say it was definitely not funny.
So can you remember, can you share the name of the cave?
No, I wouldn't say the name of the cave, but the name of the plateau is Triund. It's in Dharamsala.
Oh, okay.
Just up from the village we stayed in is Bagsu. So a beautiful walk. It was about a 5-hour walk. Although one time, again, I had a broken leg. I had to do it on a donkey, which was not the best, to be honest. But yeah, I would highly recommend a visit to Triund. Very inspirational place.
As a tourist and as an old friend of Nepal, I would say, as a family members, as you said that you in Nepal, like your friends are like families. Yeah. So what one thing do you think, so as a tourist, do you suggest the people or the government, you know, that they can improve to raise the benchmark of tourism? You know, like what do you think about, does Nepal has a lot of prospects for tourism?
I mean, yeah, it does. And it's got, like, obviously pre-COVID, it's tourism it's got a roaring tourism trade. I think the government probably does more for tourism in Nepal than it does for Nepali people. Like, I've got friends that are still trying to get their, you know, the earthquake relief money. I've got friends that are still waiting on that 5-6 years later. So there's definitely some improvements that can be made by the government there. Not to speak, you know, completely down on your government, but and also thank you to the government for the help that they did give us towards this project, because there was kind of, I think it was about, would have been around £12,000 that the government, you know, it took us a lot of begging, but they kind of handed it over in the end. But yeah, I think the tourists are probably looked after more by the Nepali government than I'd say the locals are, which isn't necessarily the best.
Yeah. Okay. As you said that you received help from the government, was it £12,000?
Yeah, it was over, you know, over a few years, and the guys who were going and dealing with like Sanu and a couple of others that were going and dealing with the meetings with the government, it was countless times they had to go and sort of, you know, beg basically to get help from the government.
Okay. I mean, just recap of this program. Today's program is sponsored by Namaste Simla Palace. It's a Nepalese Indian restaurant based in Kaudenbith, and we have Ian Bent here talking about the Bimri Foundation. So at this moment, at what stage is the project? Has the water started coming out of the tap, or is there anything left to be done?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot left to do. We've got there's now water flowing into the village though. So at the start of lockdown last year, everyone kept saying, wash your hands, or you're going to die, kind of thing. And at that stage, we didn't have water flowing into the village. So I'm thinking, well, my friends in Nepal can't be washing their hands 20 times a day because they just don't have the water for it. So at that point, the Nepali government had just given us, I think it was around £5,000. And so I said to the guys, like, look, just go and get some, these big 20,000 litre plastic tanks. Go and get some of them, buy the next pump that we need, and just connect it all together. So it was kind of like a bit of a hodgepodge, get it finished kind of thing before COVID. I mean, luckily COVID hasn't hit the village too much, but so we're at a stage now where we've got water in the village. We've got, I think it's 18 taps. I said 22 on that video that you translated for me. So that was a bit of an embellishment, unfortunately. So it's 18 taps are in the village. But basically every villager is within 10, 15 meters of water now. But where I want it to be is there's 110 households. I want there to be 110. I want the water going directly to every house. I want them to have like flushing toilets, inside sinks, and because there's various levels of poverty, and one of the lowest levels of poverty is when you're cooking outside and you're fetching water to your house and stuff. So it's kind of about raising the quality of life in the village and kind of hopefully bringing it up to the sort of standard that you might find in Kathmandu, for example. So yeah, there's loads of work left to do. As they said in the video that London Nepal News did, we need to build a filtration system, which I've spoken to Sanu about recently, and that's going to be, so that's the next thing that I'm trying to raise, and that's going to be around £5,500. And then after that, it's replacing those plastic tanks with more permanent structures and a main sort of reservoir at the top of the hill above the village, which is going to be about 160,000 litres. But that in itself is about £15,000. So it's a lot of funds to be raised, basically.
So as you said, that there's a total pipeline of 1.6 kilometers pipeline. So before, as you said, there's 18 taps have already been installed over there. Before that, how long did the villagers had to carry water in wicker basket?
So I suppose it depends on the walking speed of the villager, but it was sort of between an hour and a half and
every morning, every evening.
Yeah, sometimes they'd be doing 3 or 4 times a day. So any of the villagers that had, say, like water buffalo, they go through a lot of water. Even feeding the animals and stuff, they need a lot of water. So depending on what the family has, if they've got buffalo, they've got goats, they could be doing 3-4 trips a day. So if you think about it, they're spending 7 hours just walking back and forth, carrying where they were. So now the women have got a lot more free time to do whatever else they want to do with it.
Does the water, does it have a filtration system?
No, so that's so I found this out from that video. I've been saying to Sanu the whole time, right, so everything's filtered, it's all good. Oh yeah, it's fine here. And then so basically now the water comes out the tap, and that's good for the cattle, it's good for the washing of clothes and that sort of thing. But they're not drinking it straight from the tap, because some of the pipes have been sat there for the last few years. So until it's filtered from the tap, we're basically saying filter it at home before you drink it. So as I say, that's the kind of next priority.
So
build a filtration system.
Through our audience or whoever might be interested in the Bimri project, or who already have contributed, do you want to say anything about the filtering process? Like, how much money do you need in order to
so as I say,
have a very robust system in place?
So from what Sanu, who's the project manager on the ground, tells me, we need about £5,500.
Okay.
I'd say we've got about a quarter of that at the moment ready to go.
So friends, we've got Ian Bent. I'll just try to see if there's any messages uh, from friends. No, I don't think so. We've got any questions at the moment. And as you know that in Scotland, there's a big diversity of Nepalese population,
Yeah.
right from Glasgow, Edinburgh, and Dundee, and
Inverness as well.
Inverness as well.
Has got itself
And there's
Paribesh.
even small villages, you know, and as Nepal has a very strong connection with particularly Scotland for hundreds of years, you know, like, so what message or what what thing would you like to share with the Nepalese living in Scotland?
I would like to say thank you very much for coming here and making Scotland your home and making Scotland a more culturally diverse place.
Mm-hmm.
And also for, you know, bringing Nepali cuisine and taking us away from eating deep fried food. Definitely, yeah, just thank you and welcome. Yeah, the more the merrier.
Mm-hmm. So just on the similar note, as being a local, you're doing so much for Nepal. Do you think so? Do you want to suggest, you know, like people like ourselves living over in Scotland, that we also can make a huge difference back home in Nepal?
You can help me make a huge difference if you want. I can,
yeah,
sure, make some donations to TBF.
Look forward to it.
I think like, you know, obviously Nepalis that have kind of come out of country, it makes quite a percentage of Nepal's GDP, doesn't it? The money that's sent back home to family members from Nepalis that have come to other countries. Because obviously the opportunities that you have here compared with like the amount of work that there is for some, maybe okay in Kathmandu, but in the rural areas of Nepal, it's unemployment is rife. In Bhimari, there's nearly no jobs for anybody. So I think that definitely Nepalis living outside of Nepal can make a big difference.
Yeah. Okay. On a lighter note, now this, what's your hobbies and interests? You know, like a bit of a diversion from this.
So it depends on where I am, really. So I lived in London for a few years, and down there I was seeing a lot of live music, like a bit of live hip hop. When I'm in the Highlands, there's literally nothing to do. So I'm ashamed to say I spend a lot of time playing video games. When I'm traveling, I'm a bit of a language geek, so I'm kind of textbook living, learning, basically just learning languages, meeting people, getting the crack. And obviously I'm Scottish, so drinking comes in there as well. For sure.
I think I've just I'll just read out some of the messages from the friends. And Ghanshyam Bhandari says, salute to your hard work for needy village. Keep it up. Namaste, Ian Bent.
Namaste, namaskar.
And Tak Thapa says, excellent sound and picture quality. Thank you, Takji. Anil Gautam says, great job, Ian. Hats off to you.
Thank you, mate.
Mukul Dahal says, very inspirational conversation. Incredible work you have done, Ian. So similarly, Rajendra Upreti says, excellent job, Ian. Joan Lama says, salute, Ian, sir. Shiv Tiwari says, excellent. Amit K. Nupani says, thank you for the energy and passion you put into the cause. You are a remarkable human being with a big heart for others. Good luck. And Rob Murray says, keep up the hard work, Ian. So these are the comments nice. Which people are
nice to hear.
People have shared. What's now again? I'm doing a bit of a diversion, as you're based in Inverness.
Yeah, near enough.
Yeah, near Inverness. What's a typical day for you? Like, and how that, you know, thought of Nepal comes in. How do you fit into that a typical day? You know,
I mean,
there's a big responsibility raising so much money, you know, as well as.
I mean, nowadays, obviously because of COVID, there's like, and as I say, I moved back up to the Highlands about a year ago, and there is literally nothing to do there. It's so I'm working from home, so do my work, finish the work, and I'm either out and about, driving around, seeing friends, or I'm just sitting in the house and playing computer games, mate. I'm kind of, yeah, I'm really looking forward to just getting my second jab and being able to start traveling again. Because this is it's the longest time that I've been in the UK for, since I was about 20. So yeah, life is very, I mean, it's like life in the bus lane at the moment. It's slow going. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to just getting out again. I mean, to be honest, I've seen a lot of Scotland over the last year. I mean, in the last 2 months, I've driven 9,000 miles around Scotland. So my average day is either I'm sitting in doing absolutely nothing, or I'm just cruising about, seeing people and visiting parts of Scotland that I've never been to before.
Is there any particular journey you'd like to share that might be motivational for the?
I mean, I went to a place, had a friend visiting from London a couple of weeks back, and she says, "Oh, do you want to go up to Handa Island?" And I was like, "Handa what?"
Handa.
Yeah,
Oh,
have you heard of it?
No.
I'd never heard of it before. It's where is it now? It's like west of, well, it's never shredded wheat. West of Durness. So it's right up north. Beautiful island. There's a sort of 7-8 kilometer walk around the island, full of cliffs and bird life and whatnot. I'd never heard of it, and there's so many kind of wonderful places around Scotland that I've never even heard of. And you know, so when we've got visitors to the Highlands, that's when we sort of see the country and we actually, you know, explore, because we've got a beautiful country here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What's something, you know, like you find similar between Nepal and Scotland?
So recently I started doing some Munros, and I remember I was walking up, I was on the phone to one of the lads in Nepal, because I was walking up, it was Ben Wivis, it's the one that's quite near my house. And the similarities, when you're walking up those paths, it's identical to walking around paths in Nepal. It's like it's just mountains, isn't it? So we've definitely got the similarities there, like, because you could be looking out from Beamery. I mean, obviously our mountains are nothing compared to yours, but definite similarities there.
Any similarities between the people?
I think our people are both very warm-hearted. I'd say that.
Right.
You know, Nepali people, and like hospitality here is nowhere near as hospitable as in Nepal, because Nepalese hospitality just goes above and beyond. But I think that Scottish people are generally very welcoming and hospitable. And have you found that as you've been here a good few years now? Would you say that you've been welcomed here by the Scottish people?
Yeah, very much. And that's what I was thinking. I mean, it's they both are warm-hearted, you know, like, and yeah, wonderful. What motivates you, Ian, early in the morning when you wake up in the morning? You know, like, what's the thing that the
alarm clock, really, mate? Just I wouldn't say I'm that great in the mornings anymore. I used to be quite chipper when I first woke up, but now I'm just like, no, just leave me alone, let me sleep. Yeah, what motivates me? I don't know, mate. Just what motivates me in general, or what motivates me to do this?
Yeah, I mean, anything in general, as well as, you know, like,
yeah, I mean, it's tricky times, isn't it? Because like, it's about as unmotivated as I've ever been through just lockdown. Kind of just when I go back to Nepal, and this is why I've kind of always gone back to India and Nepal, is as soon as I arrive there, I'm kind of hit with ideas and inspiration and this and that, and I've not had that sort of kind of injection of like perspective and the sort of inspiration that I get when I'm over there. I've just not had that for so long now, to say. So I'm just kind of like feeling a bit stagnant, and yeah, so just really looking forward to this whole chapter of life to be over, so we can just start moving around again and getting inspired and getting motivated. Because I put kind of every so often, because we've obviously, you know, yourself, you know, you run a charity. People don't really like charities nowadays, because there's so many charities out there, I think, that have given charities a bad name, and people are a bit sort of fatigued by like people shaking buckets at them in the street and stuff like that. so every so often I'm kind of like, I don't barrage Facebook with like, oh, you know, give some cash, because people just get sick of it.
Yeah.
And so every so often I'll kind of put a bit of time and stuff into TBF. But when I'm over there, it's like a full-time job. I'm just like all day long, just having ideas and doing stuff and running about the place. So yeah, I'm a lot more motivated when I'm actually in the country and I'm seeing what's going on. Because over here, it's like I'm so far away that it's kind of like it's not quite so in my mind, you know.
As you said that, I mean, talking about charity, is there anything you can do, the charities can do to improve themselves? You know, like just not to. You know.
I mean, well, one thing I've always tried to do is basically show people exactly where their money's going to go, and saying, you know, your £20 will buy us X amount of meters of pipe, or it'll buy like X amount of kilograms of sand or cement. Just show, and then just showing the progress, because we've always tried to keep people updated with what we're actually doing with the donations. So I think that just so showing people where their money's going, because it kind of gives them a bit of confidence in what you're doing, sort of thing.
Okay, just a bit of a diversion over here. I'll just try to see if there's any questions. Dear friends, please feel welcome to ask any questions or concerns that Ian is here.
That doesn't go to my mates. No questions from you lot.
Okay, we've got one question over here from Ghaneshyam Bhandari. He says, how you feel in Nepal in terms of pollution in main town and safety in some areas of the village? I mean, in terms of,
I feel a lot safer in Nepal than I do, say, walking around Aberdeen. As soon as you arrive, you feel safer there than you do here. I think maybe because, especially like around in Kathmandu, it's so crowded that you know, let's face it, 90% of people anywhere you are, 90% of people in the street are going to be good. They're going to, so I never really, and in the village, definitely, like there's never any, you know, I feel about as safe as I possibly could. Well, especially in Beamery, you know, like everybody knows me in Beamery. There's never going to be any trouble there. But yeah, I've always felt safer in Asia, and in the UK, I've always felt safer walking through Asian neighborhoods than like white neighborhoods. Well, depending on the sort of type of neighborhood, I suppose.
Okay, we've got Tukbi Thapa says, a wonderful job you have done, Ian. Hats off. So Binod Thamang says, yeah, brother, have you arrived in Nepal, or is this live from Scotland? Missing you, bro. Yeah. So that's Binod Thamang.
So Binod Thamang, I mentioned in this the London Nepal News, Binod is the son of Betman. Betman he was a dear friend of mine, and this isn't a very light topic, but a couple of years ago, I was on the phone. I was in the village, and I was on the phone to Betman. He'd been in hospital, and he sounded fine. He sounded absolutely fine, and he said, "I'm coming back to the village. I'll take the bus." And I was like, "No, you will hell. I'll come and get you." So I drove in on the bike from the village, and by the time I arrived in the hospital, he was deteriorating really badly. He was going like jaundice, and there was talk of like an ICU ward, and we were just in like a government hospital in Kathmandu. And I said to the doctor, I was like, "Look, mate, or look, doc, honestly speaking, if this was your father in this bed, would you wait in this hospital for an ICU, or would you move him to a different hospital?" And he said, "I would 100% move him." And I was like, "Right, okay, so we'll do that." And we took him to a private hospital, and so I followed the ambulance over to the next hospital. And by the time I got there, I walked in, Lasso, so how are you doing? And he turned to his daughter, and he said, "Who's this guy?" He didn't recognize me. And like, this was like a close friend of mine. And then it just kind of got worse and worse. And we were there in hospital for a week, just throwing money at, because obviously there's no NHS in Nepal, is there? So yeah, we're just throwing money at what's it called? Just medication. What's the thing that makes you breathe. Try to remember the name of it in an ICU ward.
Mm.
You know, the machines they've got to make you breathe. What are they called?
Defibrillator or something?
No. The word's going out my head. But yeah, we basically just tried and tried and tried, and he unfortunately passed away. But Binod's his son. And he was it was without Batman. It was his work on the ground, like, because all I've done here is just ask people for money on Facebook. I never lifted a finger. I never, I never put a spade in the ground or broke any rocks, or because there's a lot of hard work has gone into this. The carrying of, like, I mean, Batman wasn't carrying stuff either. He was a project manager, but it was his kind of determination and his like whip cracking that really made the project kind of successful. And so I've kind of seen it since his passing as like, this is his legacy. And that sort of was a lot, that inspired me a lot to kind of finish the job that he put so much of his final years into. But yeah, that's Bino Lasso, and yeah, I miss you too, bro.
That's sorry to hear about that, but Ernie, as I can see that you have become quite emotional, and obviously because you've had a lot of intimacy with his father, Binod's, is it Binod's father?
Yeah, Binod's father, and man.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
So I was talking about, like, as we also are a charity, and how do you raise money? What are the ways and what are the challenges? Because you just can't get money by just putting it to Facebook. That would be quite limited. The amount of money that you have raised, like 30,000, more than that, and still on the pipeline, and single person, you're doing it single-handedly, I mean, over here. So what are the different ways that you...
To be honest, the vast majority of that came from Facebook, from like the Facebook community, just from donations through, I mean, we've done various, we had like one of the little campaigns we did was a pint for a pipeline. So it was just getting people to donate the cost of 1 pint for, because I've always the whole thing has been crowdfunded, and I've always tried to say, like, we're not asking you for hundreds of pounds, but we're asking hundreds and hundreds of people for small amounts of money. There was, we've got like various ways. We've got, like, you can text 70490, text TBF to 70490. That'll donate £3 a month. So we've got a bunch of monthly donors. My sister's company has put in thousands. Every so often her company does these challenges for, like, Fitbit challenges and that sort of thing. And the winner of those challenges gets to pick a charity to donate money to. So thousands of pounds have come from Hotjar. Thank you very much, Hotjar. But yeah, a lot of it was just well-worded Facebook posts.
Have you done any sort of, like, say, charity dinner or
no, we did. I've done a few. We did some sort of charity events the year before lockdown. The aims obviously were to raise money, but also to raise awareness. It did raise awareness, but unfortunately, it didn't raise any money. I lost quite a bit of money on that. But we did, like, that was kind of trying to do events which cost a lot to put on. But then we've done events in the past which basically cost nothing to put on that turned a bit of profit. So it was a big gamble, but yeah, this turned out.
yeah, I saw that in the Bimri Foundation website. You said, like, £3. Is it, if you text, is it 70490?
70490.
So
yeah,
friends,
TBF,
if you'd like to help the Bimri Foundation, you can text 70490 and
text TBF
at TBF 70490
TBF,
and be a part of the Bimri project. Can you tell about the location? Like, when you land in Kathmandu, I mean, how do you get to the village?
So usually I would have a night or two in Kathmandu. Friends of mine in Kathmandu would come and get me at the airport, and I would then I rent a scooter and just drive out there. So it would be about 2.5 hours. Most of the time I would do that. I just kind of, as soon as I arrive in Kathmandu, get a bike, so I've got wheels and I can move around. But then it's off-road, obviously. You saw the paths out to the village.
Yeah, we shared
so doing that on a moped is pretty treacherous. And pretty much every time I hand these bikes back, they're just ruined, which is, I should really just buy one myself and buy I should man up and buy a proper motorbike rather than a moped. But they're just so easy to drive, little twist and goes. But yeah, that's how I usually get around in the village, or get around to the village anyway.
Any Nepalese food that you miss that you really want to go to Nepal and have?
I'll tell you what, I mean, obviously in the village, it's dal bat twice a day. And I'm, I like a dal bat every so often. But I can't say, sorry guys, I can't say that I love a dal bat too much. My friend Prem always makes me a butter chicken.
Oh, okay.
Butter chicken masala. Occasionally when it's like dinner time in the village, I'll just be like, I'm just going off to Prim's, and then I'll get up there and he's like, it's dinner time, you're avoiding dal bat, and he'll make me a chicken roll. But yeah, because I always say, like, I don't really eat that much Indian food or Nepali food, and people will say, well, you spent so much time in India, how come you don't eat Indian food? Well, they've got other food in India. I eat pasta, pizzas, and pretty diverse over there. Oh, tell you what, momos, that's what I miss.
Okay.
That's what I miss.
You can get in
Buff momo.
You can get in Aberdeen as well.
We should go for momos after this.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Dear friends, this program is sponsored by Namaste Simla Palace in Cowdenbeath, and we are having a chat with Ian Bent. If there's any questions that you'd like to ask, I'll be happy to pass that to Ian. Now I think there's 15 more minutes left, but do you have any suggestions for the government of Nepal? Especially as you've been so much connected with Nepal, any particular tips or suggestions that you'd like to give to the government?
Help your people a bit more. I mean, I'll say I don't want to slag off what the government do, but you probably know yourself, they could be doing more. As I say, I've got friends that are still waiting for the earthquake relief fund, which was when the earthquake was 2015. Yeah. So we're talking 6 years, and people still waiting for like 2 lakh. And how can it take 6 years? If that was people in this country, they wouldn't stand for it. They would, they would give hell, because people in this country would feel that they were entitled to that money. It's our money. You owe us that money. Whereas the people in Nepal that are still waiting 6 years on, I think definitely that's one thing I would suggest to the Nepali government. As I say, I don't want to slag off the Nepali government too much, because it could really do with their help over the next coming years. But yeah, that's definitely one thing that I would suggest. Okay.
Any message for the people of Bimri village?
Lasso. Lasso, obviously, it's just basically namaskar in Tamang. Tamang tam. Lobchiba?
Yeah.
No, it's not Lobchiba. You don't speak Tamang, no?
No. But Lasso,
I was kind of, as I was saying to you earlier on, I was kind of quite lazy with learning Nepali, because I just speak to my Mero Nepali Satyaru Sangamo Hindi Bhasha Bochu. But so I was trying to kind of learn more Tamang when I was in the village. But yeah, I miss them all. I speak to the guys a few times a week, but I am just desperate to get back out there and see everybody. I've got my next jab next weekend, and after that I'm kind of ready to go. Well, I've just taken a lot of holidays from work, but soon I'll be ready to go. But yeah, I'm really, really missing everyone over there, and they know this, so I speak to them so regularly. But yeah, just miss you lot so much. I can't wait to get back and drink water from them taps.
Yeah, that was after having put up so much work, as you said, that drink water from the tap, that was a very sentimental connection.
Yeah.
And
I'll be drinking that water out the taps, filter system or not.
Yeah. And we wish you.
I'll take the Delhi belly.
Yeah, we wish you all the best for that. And
thank you.
We also, through our Facebook media, this message has gone to a lot of people. So if there's anything, and we'd also love to be a part of your
Yeah, man, I'm sure we can do something together.
Yeah.
Definitely. Maybe do some event.
Yeah.
Some Nepali dancing. Maybe we could do a Kaylee actually. We could get some Scottish dancing and some Nepali dancing on the go.
Yeah.
That could be quite interesting.
Okay. Just how much Nepali do you know? I mean, do you want to share anything?
As I say, Kinubani, Mero Nepali Satyaru Sangha, more Hindi Basha. I mostly just
Hindi बोल्नुहुन्छ
Hindi बोल सकता हूँ Hindi बोल सकता हूँ
नेपाली पनि राम्रो आउँछ
No man, it's basics. It is really it shouldn't be. I've been to Nepal so many times, but like I can understand a lot of Nepali. I can understand a lot more than I can speak. But yeah, as I say, I have because I had Hindi as and I'm comfortable in Hindi. So I would just in the village I would just be mostly just speaking Hindi. So Mero Nepali ekdam hiti ramro chana. Yeah, this give me.
बुझ्नुहुन्छ?
No, I don't even understand that, man. I'm sorry.
Can you understand? Like,
oh well, apparently not. Apparently not. No.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, let's meet up again in 1 year's time, and I'll have it improved.
Yeah. Let's just for a lighter mood. Maybe as you said that you are quite comfortable with Hindi.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, anything in Hindi or any because.
तो भाई साहब मैं 20 बार इंडिया को गया था तो अगर मैं फ्रांस को गया 20 बार के लिए बिल्कुल मैं पूरा फ्रेंच बोल सकता हूँ लेकिन मैं फ्रांस 20 बार को नहीं गया तो बहुत काफी टाइम इंडिया में और मैं अध्यापक को गया तो मैं नेपाली भाषा लिख सकता हूँ पढ़ सकता हूँ लेकिन बोल नहीं सकता हूँ
तो आप लिख भी सकते हैं
लिख भी सकता हूँ पढ़ सकता हूँ लेकिन तो मैं हिंदी में संस्कृत सीखता ये अध्यापक के साथ एक बूढ़ा आदमी सिर्फ एक कमरा में एक बूढ़ा आदमी के साथ सीख रहा था हम शतरंज खेल रहा था वो हिंदी बोलता और मैं सब लिखता और एक बार एक फ्रेंच आदमी बोलता आप उसके स्क्रिप्ट बोल सकते हैं लिख सकते हैं मैंने बोलता नहीं सीखता वो बोलता सिखाओ बहुत आसान सिर्फ एक हफ्ते में आप सीख सकते हैं मैंने बोलता बकवास एक हफ्ते में यार नहीं है तो मैं अध्यापक को गया और वो मेरे को सिखाया तो उसके बाद हाँ तो आजकल में नेपाली भाषा when I'm like driving around I can read the signs I just can't speak the language.
Yeah, but I think so much love for Nepal. Hopefully in the next chat we can converse in Nepali.
Yes, man. Yeah, I'm gonna work on that.
Yeah. Dear friends, as I said, that this program is sponsored by Namaste Simla Palace, and we've got Ian Bent over here. I'll just we're about to finish, but if there's any questions, I'll just have a look at the Facebook page. Munna Sapkota says, "Great job, Ian. We are proud of your work."
Thank you, Munna.
And John Burton says, "Love the subtitles. Trying to do Hindi." And Lover
subtitled, is it?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Lover Simkara says, "Hi Ian, you done a great job in Nepal." And so these are the messages. So we're almost about to finish, but before that, I would like to share a small message for all through our charity. This time, this program गर्न सकेनौं कोभिड को कारणले गर्दाखेरि तर दशैंको र तिहारको प्रोग्राम चाहिँ यथावत प्लान गरि नै रहेको छौं अब त्यसमा सबै समय अनुकूल मिल्यो भने हामीले एबरडिनमा पनि दशैं तिहारको प्रोग्राम च्यारिटीले गर्ने भन्ने मिटिङमा चाहिँ पास भएको छ Okay, Ian, I think we're almost about to finish. Anything you'd like to share that I haven't covered, or is there something you want to? Okay, fine. I want to share this thing with the audience.
I'd just like to say to you, thank you very much for having me here, man. Malai कार्यक्रममा बोलाउनु भएकोमा धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद. Yeah, absolute honor. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
And yeah, if anyone is watching and would like to kind of help out or even just follow the work that we're doing, just give the TBF page a like, and yeah, just please help me help Nepal.
Mhm.
And also, sorry, actually, yeah, a massive thank you to, because as I say, this has been crowdfunded. The big thanks needs to go to the supporters of TBF over the last 6 years, and just mad respect to all the villagers for the serious hard graft that they put in, like back-breaking work in sweltering heats, breaking rocks, carrying steel, like 60 tons of equipment carried up and down mountains. There was guys carrying 50-kilogram bags of cement on their backs down and up mountains. So yeah, just serious hats off, mad respect to everyone that's been involved, and thank you to all the people that have helped us get to where we are.
Through Ian, as we can see that he's described how difficult it is to work in village areas, especially when you're carrying everything from the town. So, but hopefully, we thank you, Ian, from the charity side, for your wonderful philanthropic work in Nepal. And I mean, I personally, I'm very much motivated by you, and I think it's a sense of motivation for a lot of people living in Scotland, you know, especially Nepalese people like ourselves living in Scotland, just to, you know, to share something to the country, you know, like. So I think thanks for being that, and thanks for being here at this charities program. एउटा सानो मेसेज हाम्रो यो नेक्स्ट इन्टरभ्यू हाम्रो काशीराम भण्डारीजीको चाहिँ 25 तारिकको लागि सारिएको छ, अनि त्यो प्रोग्राम चाहिँ लुनन बे फार्म, एउटा चाहिँ खसीको फार्म रहेछ, पर्सारमा हो कि त्यता, उहाँहरूले स्पोन्सर गर्नुभएको छ। त्यो पनि हामीले सिधै च्यारिटीमा जान्छ, त्यो स्पोन्सरको जति पनि मनी छ डाइरेक्ट च्यारिटीमा र गुड कजको लागि हामीले युज गर्छौँ। एन्ड थ्याङ्क्स फर द वन्डरफुल अडियन्स। मेरो पछि साथीहरू यहाँ टक थापाजी, हाम्रो शिव तिवारीजी एट द ब्याक, आई मिन यहाँ सपोर्ट गरिरहनु भएको छ। Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll definitely have more here one day.
Yes, man.
Thank you very much, friends. It was wonderful to have you all here.